The galaxy had long believed that Earth's navy was nothing more than a joke. Alien commanders laughed whenever human fleets were mentioned. To them, Earth was young, untested, and weak. Their warships were small, their technology outdated, and their numbers few. In council halls across the stars, the name of humanity was spoken with smirks, not fear. On the edge of a cold star system, a fleet of alien warships drifted in formation. Their hulls gleamed like knives covered with scars from battles across 100 worlds. These ships belonged to the Druvari Dominion, a proud and ruthless power that had crushed entire species. To the Druvari, humans were nothing but prey waiting to be hunted. Inside the flagship of the fleet, Admiral Threx leaned back in his command chair. His scaled lips curled in amusement as reports arrived from his scouts. "Earth ships are gathering near the edge of their system," a lieutenant hissed. "Pathetic frigates and corvettes. They think they can defend themselves." Threx let out a deep laugh. "Let them gather. Let them hope. Soon their worlds will burn and their people will kneel. We will show them what true power looks like." The alien bridge echoed with cruel laughter. The officers remembered the last encounter with humans. A handful of old cruisers had barely managed to hold the line, their weapons weak compared to the Druvari arsenal. The Dominion had left them crippled, bleeding but alive, only because Earth was not worth finishing at that time. Now Threx wanted to end the game. But beyond the smug grins and sharp voices, something stirred in the dark. A presence. A silence that pressed against sensors and eyes. The first to notice was a young alien operator. His claws tapped nervously on the console as he read the scanners. "Admiral, something strange. A shadow crossing our long-range scans. It is massive." Threx's laughter stopped. His golden eyes narrowed. "Show me." On the central display, a shape appeared. At first it looked like interference, a blur against the stars. Then slowly it stretched across the screen. A dark outline that grew and grew until it blotted out entire clusters of stars behind it. The bridge fell silent. "That cannot be a ship," one officer muttered. His voice cracked as he stared at the endless black mass. "It is too large," another whispered. "It must be a station." "No, a moon," the scanners screamed in protest, filling with distorted numbers. Size estimates broke the limits of their system. Power readings spiked so high the machines shut down, unable to record them. The operator's voice trembled. "Admiral, it is moving." The shape drifted into view, slow and deliberate. Then with a sudden burn of engines, it revealed itself fully. A hull of black metal kilometers long, towers rising from its surface like mountains, armor plating so thick it looked like continents of steel. And etched into its side, glowing faintly in pale light, was the insignia of Earth's Navy, the Titan-Class Warship. For years it had been only a rumor. A whispered story in human bars and military records that outsiders mocked. Some called it the Phantom Ship. Others a desperate myth meant to keep human morale alive. The galaxy had dismissed it as fantasy. No species believed Earth had the resources to build such a monster. Yet here it was, blotting out the stars. Admiral Threx rose slowly from his chair, his scales stiffening. For the first time in decades, he felt the sting of unease. "Impossible," he hissed. They could not have built this, but his crew could only stare. The Titan's engines glowed like suns, each thrumming with power beyond anything the Dominion had ever seen. Along its flanks, weapon ports yawned open, massive enough to swallow entire destroyers. Its shadow spread across the fleet, and even the proudest Druvari captains fell silent. Inside the Titan, human officers worked calmly. The bridge was vast, a cathedral of steel and light, filled with consoles and tactical screens. Commander Ellis stood at the center, his face calm but his eyes cold. He did not smile. He did not boast. He only gave orders in a steady voice. "Hold position. Let them see us." The Titan remained motionless, looming like a god of war. In the alien flagship, the silence broke into chaos. "It is only one ship," a Druvari shouted, trying to regain courage. "No matter its size, it cannot defeat a fleet." But no one believed his words. The Titan did not move aggressively. It did not fire. It simply existed, its presence enough to crush morale. The Dominion had mocked humanity, but now they faced something that should not exist. The operator whispered again. "Admiral, it is scanning us. Every ship, every weapon, every system." Threx's jaw tightened. His claws gripped the arm of his chair. For the first time in his career, he had no ready plan, no threat to make, only a creeping fear that spread through the bridge like poison. The Titan-Class Warship had appeared. The shadow of Earth had fallen over the stars, and every alien heart on that battlefield knew nothing would ever be the same again. The Titan did not move quickly. It did not need to. Its very presence was enough to freeze the entire Dravari fleet in silence. The massive warship glided forward like a mountain carried on fire. Every second it grew larger in the view screens of the Dominion vessels, until its black steel surface seemed endless. Admiral Threx had faced many enemies in his life. He had seen planetary defense grids collapse. He had burned cities to ash. He had commanded fleets that darkened the skies of weaker species. But never had he seen a single ship so vast, so confident, and so alive with hidden power. He forced his voice to sound strong, though it cracked. "It is only one ship. Do not forget that. We are the Dominion. We have numbers. We will crush it as we have crushed all others." The words rang through the alien flagship, but they did not fill the officers with courage. Their eyes stayed locked on the Titan. On the human ship, Commander Ellis watched his crew work with quiet focus. There was no panic here, no fear. Every officer had trained for this moment in silence, hidden from the galaxy's eyes. They had sworn to never speak of the Titan until it was time. Now time had come. "Status?" Ellis asked. "All systems stable. Shields holding. Main batteries charging," answered a young lieutenant. His voice carried pride, not nerves. Ellis nodded. "Do not fire until ordered. Let them wonder. Let them feel it." The Titan's armor gleamed as it caught the light of the distant sun. Its hull was layered in metals no other species had seen, forged deep within Earth's secret foundries. The surface shimmered with faint blue lines, energy conduits that carried power to weapons hidden under the armor. The Dravari fleet moved restlessly, as if unsure whether to attack or retreat. "Admiral, its weapons are activating," one officer cried out. The screens filled with impossible readings. Turrets rotated into place, massive cannons that dwarfed the largest guns in the Dominion fleet. Along the Titan's belly, missile silos opened, each large enough to launch warheads that could crack continents. Above, its towers came alive with energy beams glowing brighter than stars, and still it did not fire. Admiral Threx slammed his claws against his chair. "They are mocking us," he roared. "They want us to fear them. They want us to sit like prey. I will not allow it. Prepare the fleet for attack!" But the fear in his eyes betrayed him. On the Titan, Ellis gave a simple command. Project Presence. At once, the warship released a low-frequency pulse. It was not a weapon, but every alien ship felt it. Their hulls shook. Their consoles flickered. The vibration went through metal, through skin, through bone. It was a warning, a reminder that the Titan was awake and it was watching. Across the Dominion fleet, officers whispered in panic. "It is not possible. Earth cannot build this. What are they?" Some captains even turned their ships slightly, pulling back without orders. Fear spread faster than Threx could control. Inside the Titan, Ellis remained silent. His crew's faces were calm, almost cold. They had trained not to cheer, not to show pride, only discipline. For them, this was not victory yet. It was the first move of a long war. "Admiral," the alien operator said with a shaking voice, "it has locked weapons on us." The bridge fell into heavy silence. Everyone turned toward Threx. The weight of the decision pressed down like a storm. Attack and risk destruction, or retreat and admit fear. Neither choice fit the pride of the Dominion. Threx's voice was low, almost a growl. "Signal the fleet. Prepare to strike. We will remind them who rules the stars." But even as he spoke, a shadow crossed his mind. For the first time, he wondered if this battle might not end in glory. On the Titan, Commander Ellis gave the order that froze the galaxy's breath. "Target their flagship. Do not fire yet. Let them know exactly who we are aiming at." The Dravari scanners confirmed it instantly. Every gun, every cannon, every missile bay of the Titan turned as one. All of them locked onto Threx's ship. The alien admiral's blood turned cold. The great Dominion fleet, with hundreds of warships, suddenly felt like ants before a god. The Titan had revealed itself. And in that moment, the galaxy realized a new truth. Humanity had been underestimated. The warship of Earth stood silent, but its shadow spoke louder than words. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, For long minutes, the Titan loomed in silence, its weapons locked, its presence crushing. Across the battlefield, alien ships whispered with static, their crews waiting for the human warship to reveal its true power. Admiral Threx sat rigid in his chair, his claws dug into the armrests until metal bent under their pressure. He had commanded battles against empires older than the Dominion. He had seen fleets break like glass before his fire, but never had he felt this weight, this sense that the future of his people balanced on a single shadow. He gave the order through clenched teeth. Attack! At once the Dravari fleet moved. Hundreds of warships surged forward, their engines burning bright. Energy cannons flashed, missiles streaked across the void, and beams of plasma lit up the dark space between stars. The Dominion unleashed its full fury on a single target, the Titan. From the outside, it looked as though the sky had turned into a storm of fire. Explosions blossomed against the warship's massive hull, painting its steel in red and gold. The soundless violence stretched for long moments, and some Dominion captains allowed themselves to hope. But then the storm faded. The Titan still stood. Its shields shimmered faintly, rippling like the surface of a calm ocean. The weapons of the Dominion had not pierced them. Not one. Every missile, every beam, every cannon strike had been absorbed, scattered, or broken. On the human bridge, Commander Ellis remained steady. His voice did not rise. Status: all shields green, a technician replied. No damage detected. Ellis nodded once. Return fire. The order was quiet, but the ship obeyed with thunder. The Titan's broadside cannons ignited, each one releasing a bolt of energy brighter than a sun. The first volley roared outward, and when it struck, it did not simply damage, it erased. Entire alien cruisers vanished in bursts of light, their hulls ripped apart in an instant. One volley. Dozens of ships gone. The Dominion fleet shook in panic. Communications channels filled with screams, alarms, and desperate commands. Captains shouted for order, but fear cut through discipline like a blade. Admiral Threx rose from his seat, his scaled face twisted in disbelief. Impossible. No ship can hold such firepower. But the Titan was not finished. Its missile bays opened, and from within poured waves of warheads. They streaked through space with silent precision, weaving past enemy countermeasures. Each one struck true. Enemy destroyers crumbled, carriers split in half. Battleships that had survived centuries were reduced to drifting wrecks in seconds. The Titan's guns did not roar like rage. They spoke like judgment, cold, final. On the bridge of the Titan, no one celebrated. The human crew did not cheer. They did not raise their voices in triumph. They only worked, calm and efficient, as if this destruction was routine. Their silence was more terrifying than screams could ever be. In the alien flagship, chaos broke loose. Officers cried out, their screens filled with red warnings as ship after ship was lost. "Admiral, half our fleet is gone." Threx's heart pounded. His mouth was dry. He had thought humanity weak. He had believed they could be crushed with ease. Now he understood the truth. Earth had been hiding, preparing in silence, waiting for this moment. Then came a new terror. "Admiral!" the operator screamed. "Its hangar bays are opening." The alien bridge turned toward the screen. From the belly of the Titan, massive doors slid apart. Out of the black interior poured smaller craft, squadrons of strike ships, sleek and deadly. They moved with a speed that shocked even the most seasoned Dravari veterans. These were not the slow, outdated fighters Earth had once used. These were hunters. The strike ships darted through the Dominion lines, weaving between cruisers and destroyers. Their weapons carved through armor with precision, tearing down targets far larger than themselves. Alien captains tried to respond, but the human craft moved too fast, too sharp. They were shadows with teeth. The Dominion fleet, once so confident, was being torn apart piece by piece. On the Titan's bridge, Commander Ellis spoke again, his tone almost emotionless. "Maintain pressure. Do not pursue retreating ships. Make them watch." The human strategy was clear. They were not only fighting, they were sending a message. Across the battlefield, alien crews whispered in horror. The name of Earth, once a joke, now dripped with fear. The Titan was not a rumor anymore. It was real, and it was unstoppable. Admiral Threx gripped the rail before him. His pride fought against the truth his eyes showed him. But even he could not deny it. The Dominion was losing. And if they lost here before the galaxy's eyes, The age of their supremacy might end forever. The Titan strike ships circled back, their weapons glowing. The massive warship's main batteries charged again, energy building like the promise of a second sun. Threx whispered to himself, though his officers still heard him. What have they created? What has Earth become? The answer came not from words, but from the silent power of the Titan. For the first time, the galaxy understood. Humanity had chosen its moment. And when it struck like thunder. The battlefield had turned into a graveyard. Dominion ships drifted as burning wrecks, their hulls shattered, their crews lost to the void. What had begun as a confident strike against a single Earth vessel had become a nightmare beyond reason. Admiral Threx stood stiff, his scaled hands trembling as he gripped the edge of his command chair. He had commanded victories across the stars, had watched proud empires crumble before his fleets, yet now for the first time he felt the taste of defeat. His officers shouted around him, "Admiral, Squadron 6 and 9 are gone. Our battleships cannot hold position. The Titan is charging another volley." Threx's golden eyes burned with fury. "Then we hold the line.
We are the Dominion."
We will not bow to humans." But his words rang hollow, and even he knew it. On the human ship, Commander Ellis observed the battle with calm detachment. His officers reported losses, none. His screen showed alien fleets in disarray. The Titan strike ships moved like sharks in dark waters, cutting through the Dominion with clean, merciless precision. "Status of main weapon?" Ellis asked. "Capacitors charged." "Cannon ready." Ellis gave a single nod. "Prepare to fire." From deep within the Titan's core, energy gathered. The ship's main cannon was not a weapon the galaxy had ever witnessed. Power built slowly, silently, until light bled across the ship's surface. A beam of condensed destruction formed at the prow, glowing like the birth of a star. The Dominion fleet froze at the sight. Every alien eye turned toward the growing light, their voices dropping into whispers. Even those who had never feared anything in their lives now felt a chill sink into their bones. One Dominion captain spoke in panic over the comms. "Admiral, we must retreat. If that weapon fires," Threx slammed his claw on the console. Silence. "We fight until our last breath." But even as he spoke, his gaze could not leave the blazing cannon forming before him. The Titan fired. The beam tore across space, a line of pure destruction that stretched for kilometers. It struck the Dominion flagship beside Threx's own, and in an instant the ship was gone. Not broken, not damaged, erased. The flagship that had carried 3,000 warriors vanished into a single burst of light. Silence fell across the Dominion comms. Crews that had once sworn loyalty to the Dominion now felt only terror. If a single shot could destroy a capital ship in seconds, what chance did they have? On the Titan's bridge, Ellis did not flinch. Target acquired. Next volley ready when ordered. The alien admiral felt sweat drip down his scaled neck. His pride screamed at him to continue. But pride could not change reality. "Admiral," one of his officers whispered, voice low, "they are not just fighting us. They are teaching us. They want the galaxy to watch." And indeed, signals were already spreading. Across nearby systems, fleets and outposts tuned into the battle. Other species saw the fire in the void. They saw Dominion warships fall, saw the Titan's light burn through the dark. The story was spreading faster than the battle itself. Earth had risen. Threx's mind raced. If he retreated now, his empire would be seen as weak. If he stayed, his fleet would die. Either way, the Dominion's fearsome image would shatter. He turned, his voice breaking. "Rally what ships remain. Strike at their fighters. Overwhelm them with numbers. If we cannot crush the Titan, then we bleed it." Across the field, the Dominion fleet shifted, desperate. Swarms of alien ships pushed forward, throwing themselves against the Titan strike craft. They fired wildly, desperate to land a hit. For a moment, the human squadrons pulled back, regrouping. It looked as if the Dominion might finally gain a sliver of ground. Hope flickered in alien hearts. But then the Titan moved. Engines roared, and the massive warship advanced for the first time. Its bulk tore through the battlefield like a planet on the move. Defense turrets along its sides came alive, releasing waves of fire. Hundreds of Dominion ships vanished in seconds, their attacks broken before they could even reach the human strike craft. The Titan did not retreat. It did not pause. It pushed forward, slow and unstoppable, carving a path straight toward Admiral Threx's ship. "Admiral, it is coming for us." Threx's breath caught, his claws curled into fists, his voice cracking between rage and dread. "Stand firm. I will not flee before these humans." But his officers exchanged uneasy glances. Some ships were already breaking away, fleeing the battlefield. Pride meant nothing to captains who wanted to live. The Dominion line was breaking piece by piece. On the Titan's bridge, Ellis gave one last command. His voice was steady, almost cold. "Transmit to the Dominion fleet. One message, and yes, Commander." "What message?" Ellis's eyes narrowed. "Tell them, this is only the beginning." The words rippled across the comms. Every alien captain, every officer, every soldier heard them, and the weight of those words crushed the last of their courage. The Dominion had thought humanity weak. Now they understood a terrifying truth. Earth was no longer defending itself. It was declaring war, and the tide of the galaxy had just turned. The battle was nearly over, though the warship of Earth had only fired a handful of times. Where once the void burned with Dominion fire, now only scattered wrecks floated in silence. The proud fleet that had mocked Earth was broken, its fragments drifting like ash across the stars. Admiral Threx sat slumped in his chair, his golden eyes wide with disbelief. His voice was hoarse, his pride shattered. How is this possible?" he whispered. "Humans were nothing." They were nothing. No one on his bridge answered. His officers stared blankly at the main display, where the Titan grew larger with every passing moment. The massive Earth warship had chosen its path, and that path led directly toward them. The alien admiral felt his chest tighten. He had commanded thousands of battles. He had killed billions. But now, facing a single human ship, he felt like prey. On the Titan, Commander Ellis stood straight, his uniform crisp, his expression calm. He studied the alien flagship ahead, the last strong vessel in a fleet that had once mocked humanity. His voice was steady, almost cold. "Lock main cannon. Target their command ship." The crew obeyed without hesitation. Across the Titan's surface, conduits glowed with rising energy. The prow of the warship lit with blinding white light, gathering the power of a small sun. The humans did not cheer. They did not gloat. They simply prepared as if destruction was only duty. Inside the alien flagship, officers panicked. "Admiral, it is targeting us. We must retreat. We must—" Threx slammed his claw down. "No, we do not run. We are the Dominion." But the words tasted bitter. Even as he shouted them, ships across his fleet were already fleeing, captains abandoning the fight. Pride meant nothing now. Fear was stronger. The Titan's cannon fired. The beam crossed the void in an instant, pure energy ripping through the flagship's shields like paper. Metal screamed. Fire consumed the decks, and the bridge filled with blinding light. Threx rose one last time, his eyes burning with rage and despair. Then the light took him, and the flagship was gone. In silence, the Titan's beam faded. Where once the Dominion's greatest vessel had stood, there was now only dust. The battlefield fell still. The few surviving alien ships powered down their weapons, their comms filled with broken voices. None dared to approach. None dared to speak. The Titan drifted forward, its shadow falling over the wreckage like a silent warning. Commander Ellis gave his final command. "Transmit to all channels." A young officer nodded. "Ready, sir." Ellis spoke clearly, his words meant for every ear across the stars. "This battle is over. Return to your masters and tell them what you saw. Tell them Earth is no longer prey. Tell them humanity has risen." And this was only the beginning. The transmission spread like fire. Across systems, across colonies, across the galaxy, the words were heard. And with them came images of the Titan, the black warship that had cast its shadow over a fleet and left it in ruins. The survivors fled. Some carried their fear back to the Dominion. Others carried it to neutral worlds. By the time the wreckage cooled, the story had already reached distant stars. The Titan-Class was no rumor now, it was truth. In bars, soldiers whispered of it. In council halls, politicians demanded to know how Earth had built such a monster. In hidden fortresses, warlords felt unease for the first time. And across the galaxy, one phrase spread like a storm. The humans are not weak. On Earth, no parades filled the streets. No songs were sung. The victory was kept quiet, just as the Titan itself had been kept secret. The human navy knew the galaxy was listening, and silence was as sharp as any weapon. In the dark of his bridge, Commander Ellis stood before the great viewscreen. His officers worked in silence, but he knew their thoughts. They had seen what no other species had believed possible. They had seen humanity step out of the shadows and into the role of power. Ellis allowed himself a single thought. Not pride, not triumph, only certainty the galaxy will never laugh at us again. And as the Titan turned away, leaving behind the ruins of the Dominion's pride, the stars themselves seemed to whisper a warning. Humanity had been mocked. Humanity had been underestimated, but now the galaxy feared the shadow of Earth.